A few days ago, we got reports that there were 5 Indian citizens missing from Arunachal Pradesh, suspected to have been taken over onto the Chinese side. In the past 24 hours, we were told that a hotline has been engaged and the Chinese have been informed of these 5 people who are missing. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has now issued a very cryptic and bizarre statement. It simply says that they have no details to report on this matter yet. No details to report yet. What does that mean? That does not say that no, we don't have these people. It does not say yes, we have them, but we are holding them for a particular reason, so we know. Nor does it say yes, we have them and we'll be returning them sometime soon. Something similar happened not a very long time ago, but in a different context after the clashes at Galwan. There were reports then, the details of which are still sketchy because they were of utmost secrecy, that there were few Indians, soldiers at that point of time, who were also being held hostage by the Chinese, that was subsequently returned rapidly within a period of about 24 hours. But this has now gone on for several days. Unfortunately, cryptic statements are not enough. We know the Chinese, the way they function, they are not averse to taking human lives as hostages. There have been hostage crises and some countries have been exemplars of it. Iran-Contra is one of them. Those of you who know your international history would remember it. The North Koreans are infamous for taking hostages, and we have to be deeply wary because every single Indian life is of value. And if the Chinese are indeed holding 5 people, then this is a major international issue and should be seen as such, which the Chinese can readily address and eliminate the issue by returning these 5 Indian citizens or giving us details about their health and safety. A cryptic statement like we don't have any details yet means nothing. If the Chinese are so incompetent that they are unable to get information up the ranks from around the border in Arunachal to their foreign ministry, then that's a separate matter, and that of course is not the case. Let's quickly have this conversation. Ambassador Ashok Sachanar joining us in the broadcast, Major General Dhruv Katoch with me, Sumit Peer and Joyita Basu from the Sunday Guardian also joining us on the telecast. General Katoch, I mentioned for a particular reason Iran-Contra, North Korea, these are countries and incidents of hostage taking which have become very serious issues. 5 Indians are missing, sir. Why are we not so deeply concerned about it as a country? We should be very troubled.
No, I think we are troubled as a country, which is why a conversation like this is taking place here. But it has been a few days now, and I think we should have got better information as of now. As far as the behavior of the Chinese, especially their border guarding troops, I think if these people had perchance transgressed, or if the Chinese had crossed over the LAC in the upper Subansiri and taken them hostage, both possibilities exist. But either way, we should come to know where these 5 individuals are. And my sense of it is that they have been taken by the Chinese specifically for 2 particular reasons. One is, today I studied in very great detail over Google Earth the map of this particular area. And the Chinese positions across, I was quite surprised to know, they have got a proper vehicular road which comes right up to the line of actual control.
Correct.
And not only that, actually I've seen that road crossing the LAC, and I believe up to 2 to 3 kilometers ahead, they've got another small little detachment put up there. Now, I do not know if the LAC has been correctly marked on the Google Earth map, but I see what has really happened is, from the Indian side, I don't see any roads. And our nearest habitation, while the villages are there, they don't appear to be connected by a vehicular road. So I think what possibly could have happened is our people could have gone across into the traditional areas where they go, and they could have been apprehended. That is one. Or alternately, the Chinese have actually come in deeply and taken them. But I think we can give another day or so to the Chinese Foreign Ministry to actually verify and then take some action. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the Indian state is very deeply concerned.
Yeah, well, we've taken it up, but it's a very quick. What do you make, General Katoch? The Chinese Foreign Ministry is saying we have no details to share yet. What does that mean? That is not a denial that we don't have them. It's not a, okay, we have them, but this is the problem. we have no details to share yet, which is basically to say we haven't made up our minds what we want to do with them.
I think that is what it really means. I think perhaps they are in their custody and they want to carry out certain levels of interrogation. That's the only way I see it. Because if I don't think the Chinese will even intend to link it up with what has happened in Eastern Ladakh. If they do, it's a non-starter. Because India is not going to sort of play out what has happened in Eastern Ladakh and try to try to give them certain benefits on the Subansiri, on the upper Subansiri. Now that is not going to happen.
Okay.
Just one point. When we are looking at the watershed in this particular area, we are looking at altitudes of 14 to 15,000 feet. But when we are looking at the valley down below where the Subansiri river runs, that of course is about 2 to 3,000 feet lower. So we are really looking at these events which are happening at about 11 to 12,000 feet.
Well,
and that is the time when these people
well, the
keep moving
concern,
around
Ambassador Sajjanar, is that one, if it's an inadvertent incident, a singular incident that requires very ready redressal, or whether now this is indicating of a new Chinese policy to harass frontier folk.
There are a couple of things here, Rishabh, that I'd like to say. Number one, that if it is, China is thinking that they can use this as a new front that they can open. Well, two can play the game, because we can also apprehend their people, bring them here and hold them hostage. You are aware of the case that there were 3 people who had sort of, strayed in the Sikkim area, Nathula area, just a few days ago. And our BSF personnel there, they had sort of, brought them in, they had offered them meals, offered them hot beverages, given them hot clothing, and sort of, sent them back. So I think that if China is thinking that they will be able to open a new front, they are very sadly mistaken. Now, of course, we also know that very recently, I think it was in March or so, there was another person who was apprehended, and he was taken across the border and he was kept in custody for about 18 days or so. And I'm sure also would have been interrogated. As far as the present case is concerned, the 5 of them, there are reports that 2 others who were with them, they managed to escape and they came back.
Yeah.
So we have, incontrovertible proof and evidence that these 5 were abducted from here.
But what do you suspect again, I'm sorry to interject you, but I have a follow-up question. What do you suspect the motivation was? One can be that, look, you are seeing people in what you feel is your territory, we might disagree, but you think, and therefore you say, okay, these people are to be detained. The second could be that you're willfully looking for information and people to interrogate. The third can be that you're looking to harass people who are working, who are locals, who are working as porters and others. Same thing happens on the LOC, where Pakistanis especially target those people who are working as army porters because they're aiding and abetting the Indian army. Or you're doing this as a matter of policy because this is your new stratagem to create an incident. What do you think it is?
I think the second or the third, as I said, the last one, if they were to do it, we could also equally well do it. So I don't think that they would have any advantage in that sense.
Okay.
The second or the third, either to harass or to get some information, because these 5 people might have seen something happening there. As General Katoch was saying, they are coming right up to the border. If they are busy doing something, setting up some, establishment or whatever it is, then they have whisked them away from there and they might keep them.
Okay, so now let me flip this around. Joyita Basu, if 5 Americans had gone missing, held hostage, the world would have been on fire right now. There are 5 Indians missing. I'm assuming we are taking it up on all sorts of fronts. For some reason, we are often told that, it is better to do things quietly because, a public glare, vitiates the situation. Is that the case, that we do it quietly and these kids will, come back? Or do we actually need to escalate the situation of a kidnapping on an international frontier of Indian citizens has taken place?
I think we need to definitely escalate it. You see, one of the reasons why this particular incident is not creating as much ripples as it should have in the rest of the country is, this is a complaint that people in the Northeast also have, that in terms of consciousness, Northeast is not part of Indian mainstream
No,
consciousness.
but that's
So
irrelevant.
is
These
one
are
of
5
the reasons
Indians.
why.
If there have been 5 Americans, we would have been talking Iran-Contra.
Yeah, we know that. But the thing is that you see,
presidents would be making phone calls.
This is a problem that we need to sort out ourselves. We need to understand and realize that if we are going to talk about Northeast, it is also, say for example, as General Katoch was saying, there are not even roads over there. On the Indian side, these places are so remote, we don't even have roads. So frankly, this has a lot to do with the kind of Northeast is not part of our mindscape, not part of quote unquote mainland India's mindscape. So this is one of the reasons why this has happened. I mean, but it is not creating as much ripples as it should.
Okay.
And if you're talking about, yes, I think it should be a matter of daily debate and it should be taken up, not just with the Chinese, we should go international with it.
No, because we have an SEO, we are sitting at the SEO meeting is coming on the 10th. I mean, escalating it. Is there a merit, Sumit Peer, in saying that, look, leave it, it's a very local issue, leave it to the border posts to make a phone call and resolve it quickly? Because it will be safer for those people if they come back without escalating it. Now, there is an argument you can make on that regard, that sometimes you escalate an issue, then it becomes, out of control. Or should we be getting hassle because several days have now elapsed? It's not like it happened last night and we are getting upset about it the next morning. Several days have gone by and today they say we have no information to share.
I think, Rishabh, I have 5 quick points to make. The point number 1 is what you rightly got. Why are they giving a grey answer? They are not giving a black and white answer. That makes everything suspicious. Point number 2, Rishabh. You see what recently happened, diplomatically, politically, militarily, China is not able to, make India go back. We have the status quo is same. They have failed on all the fronts. Point number 3, SSF taking the strategic sites and the heights in Pyongyang has really made PLA look very, very red-faced. They are looking for an option or they are looking for a face saver. Now the question is Chinese Communist Party and the PLA believing that kidnapping of civilians is their new policy, because kidnapping is, always for extortion. Now, what are they trying to extort from us? And last point, Rishabh, are they trying to destabilize the elected governments in Northeast and the government in Delhi? Because if you start kidnapping civilians, you are giving a message, look, your government cannot protect you. Now, you cannot handle our army, you cannot handle us diplomatically, you cannot handle us anyway. Now, you have picked up 5 of our core civilians and kidnapped them. Is this your new policy? Kidnapping and political extortion is the new mechanism you are working on, because you are failing on all other fronts. Look at the things what happened.
No,
in the past.
it could be it could be as innocuous as information, but frankly, sitting here, I don't see how it makes a difference. I again repeat, if there were 5 Chinese that were in Indian custody in Arunachal, what do you think would be happening right now? If there are 5 Americans that have gone missing on the Mexican border, what do you think would have been happening right now? The world would have been on fire dealing with the problem. Okay. And here we are trying to downplay it. It is not something we should be downplaying. We need to find out the life and safety of these people has to be guaranteed by our action. And I completely sympathize that some problems are best handled very quickly and very quietly at a local level. But it's not quick. Several days have now elapsed and these people haven't come back, which means the Chinese are not willing to hand them back. There's something disturbing. General Dhruv Katoch, the question now begins is, what do we do? A local point, do we leave it at the local level?
No, I don't think this can be left at the local level, which is why the hotline between the army and the PLA, the Indian army and the PLA has already been activated. So I think both the military and the diplomatic effort should continue as far as that is concerned. But I think immediately, I think we need to send a very strong patrol exactly to the point where, as it has been mentioned earlier, that there was a group of 7, 5 have been taken and two have escaped from there. Now, if that be so, then obviously we have got physical evidence. We need to send a strong patrol to the site and really find out what has happened there. I'm not sure if that particular action has been taken, but my study of the map today, when I saw the Google Earth images, that very frankly, I was very disturbed, because if I see the communication infrastructure, it is the motorable road is very visible right up to the
motorable. They have a motorable road that just stops at the LAC that can easily get to Tawang.
No. It is not just stopping at the LAC.
You're saying it goes ahead.
Has crossed the LOC by about 3 kilometers. That's what I could make out, right? And then it disappears. So obviously, but from our side, there is no road. Now, if we have to actually reach that point, it is going to take that patrol quite some time to reach that particular spot. I presume that action would have been taken by now, and then further investigations will carry on.
Okay, okay. So now there are procedures in place, but the Chinese are not to be trusted. You can't trust them after everything they've done. Moscow meeting happened on Friday night. In the past 24 hours, they moved more men in armor to all the areas, including the Chushul-Moldo axis, in the past 24 hours. So the Moscow meeting was also irrelevant. Ambassador Sajjanar, what would be the logical ports of call? Because if the matter had to be quietly resolved, and things are resolved, can happen, but they haven't happened. What are the obvious things that we can do? Because these people have families, they have friends.
So, one comment, Rishabh, here on the Moscow meeting. I think Moscow meeting was an eyewash.
Yeah.
Because, the Chinese wanted it, and I think basically it was for their domestic consumption as well as the international consumption.
And ran for the
Russians.
Russians.
What they have said is that, it is India which has again crossed the line of actual control. This is the message that they wanted to give to their own people and to the outside world, which they have been able to do. Now, what is it that we need to take it, how do we need to take it forward? I think today definitely, because this incident took place on Friday, today I am reasonably certain that a diplomatic note verbal would have gone from our Ministry of External Affairs to their embassy here and from our embassy in Beijing to the Foreign Office there. Because you see, one thing I can see that this was a message sent to the PLA, so the Foreign Office, might not have been aware in terms of the communication.
Ambassador Sajjanar, but what do you make of the response? Their response is no comment on these. Arunachal Pradesh is actually South Tibet is our territory.
Well, this is a very wolf warrior response, and I think people in power are definitely sort of noting what they have done. When our ministers go there, Prime Minister goes there, for them to come out with a statement. But this sort of an audacious comment coming from this junior spokesperson of the Chinese Foreign Office, I think that is, look at him, meaning in terms of the way he's holding out his hand and extending his fingers. I think this is very, very insulting. So I think people who are looking at policy, they would be taking note, and I'm sure the fact that the sort of farewell that has been given to Mr. Tenzing,
today at the funeral, yes. And I think it's very important for people in the families of these 5 who are missing to know that the country is taking note. It's not like we have forgotten that 5 Indians are missing there. It's very, very important. Yes, Sumit wants to make a point. Sumit, go ahead, then I'll open Joyita. Sumit.
Rishabh, it is very important that the people, if they are wearing the uniform, if they are not wearing the uniform, if you wear a uniform, you are still an Indian. If you are not wearing a uniform, you are still an Indian. And we are concerned for our every man standing, because we have to assure our brothers and sisters in Northeast, we are there to protect them at every cost. That is the game.
Everyone.
That is the underlying 4 factor. One single line will protect you at every cost. You are not vulnerable to any aggressor, for that, let it be China or for that matter anybody else.
No man or woman left behind. It's a perfectly logical thing for morale, if nothing else. Joyita Basu, here we are, okay, that this has happened now. We are now into 4 days that these people have been missing. We should have verifiable evidence of where they went missing, what location. It might be geographically more difficult for us to get there, patrol there, etc., etc. But at an international level, we prefer to be gentler in our public posturing on this. Now, that's perfectly reasonable and understandable part of approaches. But if 5 people are missing right now, would a gentle approach be more helpful, or is it to be escalated would be more helpful?
Where has a gentle approach taken us? This is a question that we need to ask ourselves first. It has taken us to the flashpoint. I mean, there's a clash happened in Galwan, the kind of eyeball to eyeball situation that is going on in eastern Ladakh along the line of control. A gentle approach, being nice to China, being not talking about any of the kind of China's treatment of Uyghurs, China's treatment of Hong Kong, China's treatment of the Tibetan people, not trying to anger China, being soft and very nice. This is what we have got. So frankly, the time for being soft is over. What China is doing, it's basically intimidatory tactics. This is, if this particular situation has erupted, it is because of the ground level troops. Obviously, just like the Pakistani troops, these people are nasty people.
No, but they made a judgment call, right? They made. I don't think it's inadvertent.
Nasty people. So you have to escalate matters to a level that at least the world comes to know.
Okay.
I don't think anybody in the world even knows that this is happening.
Okay, Lato ke bhoot.
That is what you should do.
Lato ke bhoot. After a point, Ambassador Sajanar, you've been doing it for your entire professional life, sir. I've been doing it for a decade and a half now, and we're always told that, look, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. Commenting on everything generally always makes the situation worse and never makes it better. Is this one of those times where actually we need to hear as a country from the highest levels that, look, we are deeply concerned about our boys who are missing, and we've taken this up, and we are deeply perturbed, and the Chinese have to hand them back? Or is a quiet approach a better option right now?
Not a quiet approach. We have to up the ante, but I don't know what you mean by saying from the highest level. I think we need to raise the levels, but definitely sort of, meaning the highest level, if you mean the Prime Minister or so, I would say no, this is not the time. The Prime Minister, in that sense, in terms of reaching out to the other side, has not even done as far as Galwan and Ladakh is concerned, and I think that is right. He has spoken to his own people, whether in Ladakh or on 15th August. But I think it is time at the level of, definitely at the diplomatic level, because we are having conversation, WMCC, etc. meets, definitely at that level, and then taking it further up to the foreign minister level.
Okay.
Because there, in any case, they are going to meet in another 2 days. On the 10th, they are going to meet. But I think definitely we need to up the ante. We need to take it further up.
Okay.
But not the highest.
What's the stick in this? If I go with the Lato ke booth aphorism, General Katoch, what's the stick in this?
No, I think there are just two things which are possible the way I looked at it. One is that it may be a genuine mistake that, these people may have crossed over, they have been apprehended or something, or they may still be roaming around there. We don't know. We need to find out. But the point is, if from the two people who have presumably escaped from there and come back, if they give us a picture and that picture appears to be confirmed that it is a case of abduction, then I'm afraid there is no soft option available. The Chinese will have to be given a very stern message. If you do it, please return these chaps immediately. Otherwise, there will be consequences. And then it is up to us as to what consequences we give. But we cannot let them get away with it. If it is a genuine error, crossings and all do take place, okay, fine. Send the persons back. But in either case, I think the Chinese need to act quickly. And we also need to investigate very, very quickly from the ground exactly what has happened.
Okay, consequences. Sumit Peer, what should be the consequences? I mean, should the PLA post that has done the kidnapping be made to pay a price? Reciprocity is a consequence. It's an undesirable and unfortunate one.
I think, Rishabh, as a country, it's our utmost duty to protect our civilians. And we can go to any extent to make our lives of our civilians safe and to make sure these events do not happen. It might be a PLA post, it might be a reciprocation. Because when the current geopolitical situation, Rishabh, China is an enemy country. An enemy country has kidnapped 5 of our civilians, where 2 have come back running and have reported the incident. It's not a normal run-of-the-mill thing. It is a very, very serious situation. We have all the options open. Let the appropriate people at the military commanders think what are the options. But at least one thing we can communicate to these Chinese people, very explicit. Look, we have all our options open. You do this to us, we'll retaliate. Because this civilian kidnapping and extortion.
No, my biggest fear is this becomes a
pattern. We are not going to let it happen.
That this becomes a pattern of Chinese strategy. And that's an equally deep concern. Joyita Basu, we can't, we are hoping it's an innocent mistake, but I'm giving the benefit of doubt to the Chinese become very difficult in the past few months. Before this becomes a pattern that they start doing this regularly, Joyita Basu, as whether it's as a tactic, point of harassment, for information, for intelligence, whatever it is, how do we nip it in the bud?
Rishabh, I think it's already a pattern, because whatever China does, I mean, China basically lives in a post-truth world, what is known as post-truth. I mean, it's lies, it takes it as truth. So basically, everything is their territory, and it has been driving out, these shepherds and all. It happened in Doklam, for example. They drove these people out. So I think that pattern is always there. But having said that, you see, what we do in terms of consequences, in fact, I have a question to ask to everybody here. What are we talking about? Are we talking about military retaliation? What kind of military retaliation are we talking about? Are we talking about going into their areas and
freeing the hostages?
Extracting these boys? Are we talking about taking their people hostage? You will be basically taking Tibetans hostage. Do you want to do that? So a whole lot of things are kind of, I mean, frankly, I don't think it's an easy answer.
No, it's not. Because, I was just thinking the same irony, Joyita, in my head, that if you were to go in and detain for questioning 5 locals, those 5 locals would be Tibetans and the Chinese would not give a hoot.
Exactly.
So you would have to actually capture 5 Chinese civilians, which could be construction contractors or otherwise, and it becomes more and more complicated as we go ahead. Okay, I'm short of time. Sumit Peer, what should be a reasonable time frame? Another 24 hours, another 48 hours before we say that we intend to act. The SCO meeting is coming up in 3 days.
I think ratio 48 hours is the maximum we give to Chinese, because in the current geopolitical situation, there is no way we can trust them. And sir, believe me, I hope and pray to God I'm wrong. This is done by them by intention.
I'm pretty sure also.
Let the people of Northeast know they are not very safe in Northeast. We don't have we don't have to let that perception survive. It's a question of letting a perception survive or dismantling it. We have to dismantle that perception.
I'm pretty sure it's deliberate also. I won't lean on the innocuous thing. General Katroch, we've got 3 days before the SCO meet takes over. Should that be a reasonable time frame for the Chinese to locate and hand these people back?
Yes, in this case, I'm actually getting the feeling that this will happen actually within the next 48 to 72 hours. Something will come about, and most likely these people will be returned. But if they're not returned, then I think we need to send a very, very strong patrol and investigate as to exactly what has happened, and then take action accordingly. Now, when we say consequences, they don't necessarily have to be military consequences. The consequences, there are multiple ways in which we can handle this, through diplomacy, through economics, through the same. But I mean, we will leave that at this point of time.
Okay, well, because the priority is to get the people back in good health. Priority is to get these people back in good health. The rest of it, be damned. Ambassador Sajjanar, 3 days to the SCO meet, 2.5 days literally. Is that a reasonable time frame for us to have the Chinese present a solution to this?
I think that should be the outer limit. That should really be the outer limit, because, I'm sure we have activated all the, the areas. As I said, even the Foreign Office, I'm sure, has already been activated. We've sent the requisite note verbal. So we should be able to get some information as to what it is all about. And we are certain that they have been abducted, because, these 2 people have come, and there has been a patrol party which has gone to the village, and it has interrogated the people. It has tried to find out what is the situation. And they have been told that these 5 people were there, and these are sort of, like porters and loaders and all that sort of things. And they were taken away from there. So I think there is no doubt about that. Whatever the Foreign Office, Chinese Foreign Office spokesperson might say.
Says or say nothing, yes.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, 2.5 days for the SCO meeting. 5 Indians are missing, suspected to be Chinese hostages. There has to be answerability. We need these people handed back safe and sound as soon as possible, for the sake of their families and for the sake of the value of every single Indian human life. We can't say there is 5 people in Arunachal, faraway place in some village, so it's not part of the national conscience. Every single Indian is important and is part of the national conscience. Thank you all for having this conversation. I'm hoping that by this time tomorrow, we have some proactive updates to present to the people of this country, that this has either been resolved or will readily be resolved. SCO meeting in 2.5 days. And frankly, we should not be there if 5 Indians are being held hostage by the Chinese. on the Arunachal border.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.